Macy's has all of your Grill Master essentials for Father's Day. Stop by to get our hand-trimmed chicken breast and certified Angus beef patties that are ready to grill, so Dad can have his favorite dinner. Make sure to browse our bakery to find the perfect no-work Father's Day treat with our decadent peanut butter bars or famous donuts. Right now, you can get boneless beef ribeye steaks for $12.99 per pound at Macy's. Shop these Father's Day essentials in-store or online at Macys.com through June 18th. Macy's, happy shopping!
A Swift Kick in the Ass, episode 111.
All big changes start with a swift kick in the ass. Join the journey of lifelong friends, John Curran and Tom Stewart, as they make conventional thought bend over and take...
Life is challenging and difficult. No one gets out alive. Time to suck it up, Buttercup. Get ready for a monster-sized boot aimed to help you get traction on personal change and get living. I am John Curran, your host. Join me as I share my journey, exploring the forces that motivate us to change and help us get through whatever life throws at us. A swift kick in the ass. Life on your terms. Welcome to another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. This is your host, John Curran, and today's episode is called Reigning Over Chaos. You know, if you've been a follower of this show, you know that in the past few years, it's been pretty rough. I mean, this show actually started after my father died, and after Tom's father died as well. And, you know, we were working on positive change and creating positive change in our own lives and sharing that journey. And then, of course, Tom got the diagnosis of brain cancer. So it's been about a decade of tremendous change within my life, and change that has primarily been outside of my control. Now, I certainly would not have asked for any of it. No one wants to lose people that are close to them. And let's just face it, we really don't want to change if we don't have to. So I think that actually creating change in your life, you have to say enough is enough, and you have to just say, this is unacceptable. I am changing. I can't do this anymore. I can't accept it. This is changing. This is done. I'm doing it now. This is, of course, for things that you can change. But for things that we can't change, what do we do? I think in some ways we also have to make a decision, of course, to move forward when we're ready to move forward and to accept that the world has changed and that the things that have happened beyond our control are just that, beyond our control. And maybe we aren't meant to understand why they happen, but we need to understand that they did happen and get beyond that. Over this past decade, I look at the change in my life, and of course, my work has changed. I haven't changed employers, but the work has absolutely changed. My role has changed. My title has changed. My debt level has changed. It's fluctuated. It's gone up and down, just like, it's a constant battle. Of course, anyone in a relationship, anyone married, knows that that is also a constant challenge. It is work to be in a relationship. And so much good comes out of that. So we want to change and create positive change in our life, but there's all this chaos going on around us. What do we do? And I will tell you that I feel that I have made great strides in this area over the past, say, 6 months. And I'll get into exactly what I have done to rid myself of anxiety, adaptive disorder, which is a mild form of depression. I actually had to seek doctor's help because I had this feeling of foreboding and anxiousness, and my stomach was in knots. And the truth of the matter is that life had just worn me down. When Tommy got the diagnosis of brain cancer, I knew it was a terminal disease. I've been in healthcare for over 30 years. I'm familiar with terminal disease. My father had a terminal disease. I know what terminal means. It means you're going to die from that illness. And I think that in my head, when I heard that diagnosis from Tom, he died at that point for me. I think as much as I tried to be in the moment with him and enjoy the moment, because I knew that the moments with Tom were ending, in the back of my mind, I knew he was dead. I knew that day was coming, and I was trying to prepare myself through that. But what I think I did is I threw myself more into chaos and actually threw myself into a pit of depression over it, because it's gut-wrenching when you lose someone that you care about. You have no control over this. But again, this is not about life and always about life and death. It's about everyday, ordinary things in our life that we have to deal with. Looking back over the last 10 years, I started to experience physical pain because I had chronic back issues from having a desk job all these years. And also not having the right exercise routine. I was not really working out my legs. I was not known for working out my legs. And so I had a very strong upper body and weaker legs. And over time that I threw myself out of balance. So, all these things kind of came together and created that pain. Plus, I had a near fall and I herniated 3 discs in my back. I don't know if you remember those episodes. But I had physical pain that I was dealing with. I had other, aspects of my life just going crazy. It's been a hell of a decade. I'm glad to say I'm through it. Also, over this past decade, I addressed my food allergies. I've had food sensitivities. Never really bothered me. I ate everything. I didn't have any problem. I didn't have any rashes. I really didn't have an upset belly. I was swollen. I don't even, I didn't see it back then. But that swelling was causing my pain. My pain was so bad, in fact, that when my daughter would hug me, it felt like she was going to break me in half. And it put tears in my eyes. And that was really the breaking point for me. So as you're going through change, you're accepting of some change. We all are. And in some cases, we have no choice but to accept. But there are a lot of things in our life that we don't have to accept. We have to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And for me, when my daughter was giving me a big bear hug and it brought tears to my eyes, that was it for me. I knew I needed to change, and that started me down this path. And, that's really what change is all about. It's about being on a path, because we're never really ever complete changing. We're going to keep changing, keep adapting to our life until the very end. We're going to survive everything until we don't. That's just the way it is. And we have to acknowledge the chaos, I think. All things must pass. This situation that you're in, good or bad, is not going to last forever. But when life seems to be crushing, falling down around you and crushing you in the process, it's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible feeling. Trying to live on my terms has absolutely increased my emotion. And the feelings that I have had to come to grips with, in just being in my own skin. And I've learned throughout my life that slow and steady progress and persistence pays off. But what I've also learned is that, slow and steady progress is not always necessary. Sometimes we just need to get the frickin' job done. We need to get from point A to point B as quickly as we can and stop hemming and hawing, stop spinning your wheels, driving in circles, however you want to explain it, and just get the frickin' job done. Change and be done with it. You need to move on to the next phase. And for me, when my daughter hugged me and brought me the tears, that was it. Set me on a course with that. After Tommy died, I finally allowed myself to let go. And to realize, to say, you know what? Tommy is gone and there's nothing I can do to change that. I need to move on. And I miss Tom immensely. I think I wish I could call him. Several times a day I think about him, and I think about how I'd want to catch up with him and tell him what's going on, and I miss my friend. And that's okay. I acknowledge it, and that feeling passes through. I'm not dwelling on his death. At least I don't think I am. But I certainly was at that time, over the last 3 years when he was actually sick before he died. I hid that from him. I wasn't going to be honest with him about that. But in any case, what we created, what Tom and I created here, we've talked about, getting ready, taking aim, and making change, and then repeat. This is a process that we all have to follow. And we need to replace our habits. We don't necessarily unlearn something. Once we know how to do something, we know how to do it. And especially with habits, we do it so well that we don't even think about it. If we want to change our habits, we're not going to unlearn something. What we need to do is replace it with something different. And, that takes some doing. But if you have an existing habit, try to tie in what you're trying to, a new habit that you're trying to create, try to tie it in with an existing habit. It's a lot easier to do that. And sometimes you can use the existing habit as a trigger. to say, oh yeah, I need to do this. Like after when I first started exercising, like getting back into exercising, I started doing push-ups, and my trigger was brushing my teeth in the morning. I'd brush my teeth, and then I hit the floor and do some push-ups. Start getting into a daily practice. Again, you want to change your life? That means that you want to start spending your time in different ways than you're doing now. You have to do this little by little, day in and day out. And what you'll find is that there's a snowball effect, that it will start, the way that you're living will start gaining traction over time and get bigger and bigger and take on a life of its own to where you're not even thinking about it anymore. But you have to get that moment. You have to start moving slow, and then you'll be there before you even realize it. I think that's also a reason why we also create measurable goals, because how do you know if you've gotten where you want to be if you haven't spelled out where you want to be? When Tom and I started this show, we started, our goal was to share our journey and to build our audience. That's how we would know that we were actually accomplishing something, by reaching people. And, I started looking at our numbers now, and it's like, you know what? Tom and I have built an audience. But we really didn't know it when Tommy was alive, because we didn't pay that much attention to it. I think he would be glad to know that. So anyhow, getting back on track. So how have I actually broken through and created change in my life? I think exercise has been really key to embracing the suck. And creating this path that I'm on right now. And I'm not just talking about physical exercise. And I don't, I think people kind of frown when you say, oh, you need to exercise more. I'm just talking about moving. Get your ass moving. You don't have to go to the gym. Go take a walk. Go to the park. Take the dog out for a walk. Just walk outside. Get up out of your chair. Do some jumping jacks or something. Just get moving. Do it a little bit every day. Keep moving. Exercise. Before you know it, you're in better shape from it. And you weren't even trying to do it. And it's just from the act of moving, keeping moving. And also train yourself mentally. I have to say that I was introduced to meditation, and I've been told that I should meditate by healthcare professionals, especially when I was going through depression. This has been a process for me. I started exercise to help me deal with everything that was helping a little bit, certainly helping. And I sought the help of a mental health counselor. That certainly helped. So I have asked for help from others. And I think in doing that instills accountability, because you're telling someone that you have a goal, you want to change, you want to do something. And that professional is going to hold you accountable to do it. You're not going to want to tell them that you didn't do something that you said you would do. Right? That is accountability. When you tell someone that you're going to do something and there's no way you're going to tell them that you didn't do it, that, my friend, is true accountability. And it's a great way of making change happen in your life. We should also, ultimately, all change in your life is dependent on you. If, you are a key person in your own life, and you are responsible for making your life as you wish. It's not always possible. We can't change the world. We can't change everything about our lives. We're going to have to surrender to that, to what we can't change and to what we can't control. And I think that's where we get into a lot of problems, is that, and this has really been coming true for me lately, or not coming true, but I'm realizing how true this is that which we resist persists. So sometimes we recognize that things are changing and we resist them. And we resist them with all our might. We throw everything at it, trying to resist that change, when it's coming at us like a Mack truck. And there's no getting, there's no avoiding it. Life is going to change, whether you like it or not. To that, we have to surrender. And we have to acknowledge that we can't change it. And accept that. And what I am finding is that, I had a lot of, anxiousness and nervousness and a sense of foreboding. And when I meditate now, I from time to time still find those feelings will come back up. And I've started to friend them. I've started to acknowledge them in my mind, to say, hey, you know what? Here's that old feeling again. But I'm in a different place now, and you are not going to control me. I see that you're there. I appreciate that you're there, actually, because my gut intuition has told me things that I would have never known without, and it's kept me out of trouble, listening to my inner self and using it as a tool to guide me through life. I mean, I really should have a six-pack abs for all my gut intuition, that I use. As much as I work my gut feelings, I should have a six-pack. I don't. Working on it. So, we can make a decision on either to fight something or to let it go. And that which we resist, that which we fight, that persists. That's in our life. It's a focus of ours, and our thoughts have brought life to it. And in fact, sometimes just our thoughts alone can bring something to life that takes on a life of its own. Like you get the ball rolling. Because life isn't just about us. It's about how we interact with the world. And our perception is our reality. And when we take actions that affect others based on our perception, of course, there's going to be some pushback maybe from that, or some type of response from that. But if we can change the way we think and the way we perceive our world and our reality, we're in essence changing our reality. So we should be open and flexible enough to recognize that we're hitting a brick wall, and that we don't necessarily need to change our goal, but we maybe need to pivot, and we need to change how we're getting there. For me, recently I've been like, I just had enough. I just had enough. I couldn't go on living the way I was living. And I just made a decision, you know what, enough is enough. I'm not going to chase it anymore. I'm just going to do it. So I've been, I joined Taekwondo. I'm a white belt. This COVID thing has really set me back a little bit. But I'm still at it, and I'm still practicing. So I'm doing Taekwondo. I'm starting to pick up my guitar again. I'm going to take some lessons next year. I signed up for lessons. It's these little baby steps. I'm practicing Spanish on a daily basis. I'm doing meditation probably several times a day, in morning and at night. It has helped me. It has allowed me to acknowledge my emotions, confront them, and befriend them, And what I find is that when I do that, the feelings go away. If I don't, if I resist it, the thoughts just bounce inside my head and they cause all sorts of damage. So, I've sought physical changes in my life. I'm exercising. I'm hiking. I'm probably in the best shape of my life at 54 years old. Again, when I was 28 and I was working out 6 days a week and I weighed 205 pounds and I was all muscle, I was in great shape. But I'm not in that shape now. I don't look like that. I'm 54 years old. But for my age, I feel great, and I'm stronger mentally as well as physically, and I'm much more balanced in my physical strength than I was back when I was 28 years old and, seriously into weightlifting. So, I don't think it's a bad idea to bring in others and consult others, especially in regards to health issues. Get some help from a professional. It helped me overcome the inflammation in my body because I went to an allergist. You could go to an allergist, a dietitian. Just if you have problems, find the experts, get some help. But then hold yourself accountable and actually follow through and start taking that path that you need to be on. I'm not one to use medication, prescription drugs. I'm not a big believer in like antidepressants. I think that they have their place. They certainly have their place, like any other medicine. They're needed at times, but I think a lot of people just use them as a crutch, and instead of taking action, and they'll take the drug, which helps them live with it, but it doesn't change anything, the issues. It just kind of numbs you to it. And again, that's a personal choice, and I'm not knocking anyone. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But I know personally that I did take some Lexapro. I was prescribed Lexapro, a very baby amount. It wasn't even a full adult dosage. It was less than a child's dose, I think, from what my friend told me. And that I used it, and I needed that. And it certainly helped me get through that barrier. But then I weaned myself off of it. And I'm not ever going back. I found other ways to help me cope. This was not overnight. It was not a quick fix. I had to figure a lot of things out, and I needed to make changes in different areas of my life for the ultimate fix. And I persisted. And because I resisted and I persisted, I got through and I broke through. Now, one of the biggest changes for me was the introduction of meditation in my life. And I'll be talking more about this in future episodes. I still get knots in my stomach. I still have, I have emotions. Yeah, I keep them much more in balance now, and I'm able to recognize the triggers. And when I recognize that trigger, then I know what steps I need to take to bring myself back in line and lose that nervous energy and anxiety, which basically is just weighing me down and accomplishing nothing. I've started looking inward to address chaos in this world. I liken it to like when I was a kid. I remember being out on my bike, riding my bike with Tommy around the neighborhood and feeling the wind against my skin and blowing my hair back and blowing Tommy's hair back because he had hair back then. And we didn't really have a care in the world. We enjoyed the moment. We're having fun, but But as you get older, you grow up, and life tends to just throw a ton of crap on you. And some of it sticks, and some of it's hard to wash off. And we end up carrying that, and it wears us down, and it weighs on us, so that in such a way that, and so slowly that we don't even realize that it's really happening. But I was starting to lose a sense of myself, and that was really, really concerning. And I knew I had to change. I needed to do something. So I started looking inward, because all of the outward changes that I've made, they're definitely part of my solution. But don't overlook the changes that you need to make inside. And a lot of, and I think when you start to look inward and start to address the barriers from within, from an inward perspective, you can actually take a stand by sitting still, by looking inward and centering yourself and focusing on that moment of stillness and silence and just breathing. The simple act of breathing in and breathing out and focusing your breathing will put you in touch with your feelings and yourself in ways that I cannot explain. But I will tell you that it has changed my life. My feelings of anxiousness, the pit inside my stomach, my stomach, the knots inside my stomach, they are gone. I get twinges of them from time to time, but I'm never, ever going back there. And I have a new sense of self, a new sense of direction, and I have taken a stand by really acknowledging my barriers and allowing that, deflecting them. And I'm there. I love my life once again. It's not perfect. I still have things I'm going to work on. I can't wait to share my journey with you in future episodes. And I'm going to talk more and more about how you can take control of your life and techniques that you can use. I'm kind of, I'm not that familiar with Tony Robbins, but I know that it costs a lot of money for you to go to one of his seminars and buy his books and all that stuff. I think I'm going to be the poor man Tony Robbins. I want to help you change. I want to help myself change. That's why I share my journey. I really want to help people. And I really hope that my podcast helps you create change in your life and control and renegotiate the terms of your life. So I'm going to end it here, and I don't actually have a quote to say today, but I want to thank you for being on this journey with me, and I hope that you can break through the change barrier. And what you'll find is that once you break through, you will find parts of yourself that you may have not really known existed, but they'll be strong, and you'll have a stronger sense of self. The barriers that we deal with, things that persist in our life, the thoughts that bounce around in our heads and cause all sorts of damage, they're narcissistic. I'm not saying you're narcissistic or I'm narcissistic. what I'm saying is that these barriers, the challenges that we face, have a narcissistic element to them. And let me just quickly explain why I say that. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be heard. And they want to be seen. So when you hear them and you acknowledge them and you say, hey, I see you there, you have a choice to either let them control you or you control them. And I've made the choice that I'm going to take control. And I'm not going to let my emotions run my life. That was probably the biggest decision that I made, was to say, enough is enough. I can't live like this. And it will change. And I'm going to make it change, and I'm going to persist until it does. Because I'm going to keep going and keep fighting until I find the answer that works for me. Now, this has worked for me. It won't work exactly like that for you. You have to apply it in your own way and make it your own. I'm not, I'm not judging anyone on my show. At least I try not to. I know I offer advice, but I will preface it with, this worked for me. It may not work for you, but we can all learn from each other. And on that note, please reach out to me, John at aswiftkickintheass.com. That's my email. You can, friend me on Facebook, a Swift Kick in the Ass. Facebook, we have a page. We have a website. You know how to get in touch with me. Leave a comment on the podcast episode. I want to hear from you, and I want to try to help. Please let me know how I can help. Until then, until the next time, this is John Curran, and keep kicking ass. This marks the end of another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass, placing it directly in the can. As much as I like to talk, even I have my limits. It's time to go. Catch me on the next show. For better or worse, whether you like us or not, please leave comments wherever you get your podcasts. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Visit our home on the interweb. I think you can leave me a voicemail there. You can also email me at john@aswiftkickintheass.com. It's been my extreme pleasure. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you got your ass moving. Until then, until the next time, I'm out of here. Peace.
Get 15% off a set of BrakeMess Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.